All right, so for our supine bridge assessment, this is going to test the muscles on the posterior side of the body, which is going to include your erector spinae, your back extensors, your glute muscles, and your hamstring muscles. This pairs up with the other core assessments so that we can get a good overall idea of any imbalances you might have in the core. So this is a maximal test. You're going to have them hold it as long as they can. The test typically lasts 2 minutes if they're able to. At 2 minutes, they're going to lift their dominant leg and hold that for an extra minute for a total of 3 minutes. And then at 3 minutes is when they've maxed out the test. So for a couple examples of things not to do or to look for during your test, we're going to have Mike lay down. I'm going to show you a couple of things here. So you want to make sure they lay down head and shoulders flat on the floor, knees bent at 90 degrees. You want their knees lined up with their hips. So go ahead and bring your legs a little closer together. Yep. And then for the test, you're going to have them lift their hips up, coming into that bridge position. So for the bridge position, you want to make sure their shoulders, hips, and knees are in a straight line coming down. If a couple things you're going to look for is having them sag their hips. If that happens, you can cue them 2 times to bring their hips back up. After the second time, if they can't get their hips back up, then you would call the test. At the end of 3 minutes, or 2 minutes, sorry, when you have them lift their dominant leg, you want to make sure when they lift their leg that they're keeping their knees lined up, so you don't want this leg really high up here or really low down here. And you also want to make sure that they don't tilt their pelvis when that leg comes up. So common what happens is that this dominant leg, that hip starts to drop down. You want to make sure that the pelvis stays lined up. As always, with all of our assessments that are done on the floor this way, you are going to offer to help your client up and down off of the floor. And of course, you're going to do a tell, show, do with them. Okay, Mike, so our next assessment is going to be supine bridge. This is going to test the muscles on the back side of your body, so in your low back, your glutes, and your hamstring muscles. We're going to use this to compare to your other core assessments that we do to see if there are any imbalances or weaknesses in your core muscles. So for this one, you're going to come down onto your back. You want to make sure that you lie with your knees hip-width apart, and you're going to keep your legs at a 90-degree angle. Whenever you're ready, you're going to lift your hips, making sure your shoulders, hips, and knees are in a straight line, and I'll start the timer. After 2 minutes, if you're able to stay up for 2 minutes, you're going to lift your dominant leg and make sure your knees stay lined up together and your hips stay even. You'll stay there for an additional 1 minute, and if you're able to stay for the whole minute, then we'll call the test at 3 minutes. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, do you need help down?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so keep your hips down. Bring your feet forward just a little bit so your knees are at 90. Good, and then when you're ready, go ahead and start. Nice job, your form looks great. Everything's lined up. All right, good job, Mike. You're doing awesome. Coming up on 2 minutes. Let's lift that dominant leg. Bring that leg down a little bit so your knees are lined up. Good, bring up that right hip. We keep those hips even. Bring that leg a little bit lower. Come on, you got this. Keep pushing. Oh, nice job. Way to go. All right, hop back up.